always cool to navigate what's happening in the creative space in South Africa and the world. And, art can become very intimidating for most of us. So from afar, it's pretty something that looks beautiful. But then when you have to think of like, okay, I need to buy this beautiful thing, but over time it's going to actually could depreciate in value. How do I know? And how do I become a collector of art? And most of the time we think that collection of art is for the bourgeoisies of society. But Mpumi Mayisa is saying, no. It's not all about that. Let's get closer. Let's understand the ways of art and become more acquainted with them. Mpumi is a Johannesburg-based cultural worker, curator, and art writer whose practice explores archives, memory, and the creation of alternative realities through visual art. She's a founder of Tsoko Art Advisory as well. But what she does now is she is part of a curated, slow-paced artwork. Oh, it sounds like my vibe. And you're just gliding through different galleries and trying to understand how art can actually be more accessible. And this initiative is titled Gliding Through the Gallery. Mpumi joins us on the line. Welcome on the show.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Hey, this is so exciting. And what makes it exciting is that you are someone who's seen the gap and saying, you know what, it's not as intimidating as everyone thinks. But what did you notice that made you say, you know what, I want to change the perception around art?
So, thank you for having me, firstly. So, I've been in the art for quite a long time. And recently, I was actually watching an interview by Yinka Shonibare, who is a Nigerian artist. And he was speaking about the fact that, he's very interested in the audiences being able to access his work. And I thought that was very interesting because he does a lot of public art. And when you think about it, in South Africa, a lot of people feel very intimidated by the art space. And when I was on TikTok, I used to make these spend a day with me type of videos where I was showing people how easy it is to get into the gallery space. And people then were telling me that they feel very intimidated. They don't think that the space is welcoming, and they want someone that's going to be guiding them through it, which is why I decided to intervene in this way.
Yeah. Art is more than just a beautiful piece to look at, nice colors or maybe nice sculptures as well. There's a lot of history and knowledge that goes around behind it. And maybe that's what intimidates people about art, because they'll be looking at it, and we've seen videos and movies of, art collectors and them staring at the art, and we're not even sure what they're staring at and what it means to see a good art piece that you would like. How do you bring in that knowledge experience into gliding through the gallery?
So, I firstly, I teach people about the ways of looking. So how do you unpack an artwork? And thank you so much actually for speaking, to this very high end. I think even the other presenter was talking about bourgeoisie kind of depiction that we've seen of the art world. But especially within African art, there are a lot of themes that link to spirituality and materiality. So I'm very interested in teaching people on how to unpack the materials that have made the work, and how that then gives them insight and connects them to the actual pieces. But we also do referencing, which means that people will look at a certain piece, and then I will make them Google either the artist or other pieces that they've made, so that they can be able to draw a thread, not only through the work that they are looking at in the moment, but so that they can go home and learn more and deepen their understanding of what they were looking at, deepen their understanding of the artistic practice, and deepen their understanding of what it means to impose certain materials onto artworks and the messages that can be generated from that.
So what is the gliding aspect of this particular, curation? What exactly is gliding through the gallery, and how does it work?
Are we going to use maybe skateboards
to glide,
the galleries to glide? Who knows? Sounds fun though.
Yeah, so it's definitely, like the way that you're thinking about it, it's essentially what we've turned into a glide where we are either moving, if we're in one gallery space and it's got different spaces, we softly move through one space to another. But the last one was very interesting because walking in Joburg is very difficult, and we were gliding through the streets of Joburg and moving from one gallery to another. And the thing about community and doing things communally is that you get to get benefits of a city that you wouldn't get to have, single-handedly. So, for example, a lot of people don't feel that it's safe to be walking in certain spaces of Joburg, but if you're with community and there's a lot of you, there's this sense of safety. I mean, even my brother was stopping the cars, so that we could be able to glide through the streets and be able to essentially take over the city for the love of art. So gliding through it really means moving from space to space, moving from art piece to art piece, but also, gliding through conversations that we're having together, because I encourage people to actually, if you come with someone, then I encourage you to actually pull away from that person and make a new friend and a person that you're going to be discussing everything with, because when we're with new people, we see ourselves in you, so it's really an experience where you get out of your shell and you get to, get the artistic part of you and to experience that through this experience.
You know what? I'm sure you must be proud of brother. Like, yeah, that's my brother looking out for me in the streets of Jozi. Let's talk a little bit about that curiosity and the experiences that you've noticed. What are you noticing as a thread to say, you know what, I'm seeing people asking the same question over and over again, and maybe it's a simple question that makes you say, I think this is a good thing to actually do?
So I think a lot of people, a lot of people are talking about art fairs, for example, and when they get to the art fair, they feel very overwhelmed. But the main question is, what does this mean for me? Because as human beings, I think we always want to connect things to ourselves.
Yeah.
So I recently had curated a show titled Ihlukanisa Uhlanganise, where I was pointing to the fact that, art really is, if we're thinking about the African sciences and technologies, art really is a repository for all of that. So when you think about umkwalo, the way that we used to paint our houses, when you think about the beadwork in Xhosa, when you think about Ima Xhosa and how Uladuma was essentially creating those patterns to be able to preserve that beadwork that was going extinct, because people say about Floshem, Mababu and Tabeni, and so kind of taking them back to our roots. And so for me, I'm trying to show people that some of these practices and our work is trying to be eradicated, but a lot of artists are really preserving that knowledge. A lot of artists are creating that knowledge. A lot of artists are bringing that to the fore. And so when people begin to understand that, listen, like, it's not only maybe your mind that's connecting to this, but it's also ancestral knowledge that is being reactivated, things that we've known, things that our bodies recognize. So yes, I'm very interested in, creating those connections and bringing people to that understanding that art really is through the fabric of our lives. And even when you think about Abo Mama Betu and how they used to decorate a room divider, art is everywhere. When you think about that moment, that painting that everyone had in their house, so Mama Abambum Dwana, like we art in our houses. And so how do we begin to then create that thread and for people to be able to connect with art in the ways that have been lost or need to be activated?
Hey, we're speaking about accessibility of art. Mpumi Mayisa is working on that mission through gliding through the gallery, which is a slow-paced artwork for those who understand contemporary art a little bit better. What's your take on it? Remember, +276 346 9126 is where you can engage with us right here as we have this chat.
AUSISA, the Association of Water and Sanitation Institution of South Africa, is a platform uniting Africa's water professionals. This November, Africa leads the conversation on water and sanitation. Join global and African leaders at the AUSISA Africa and Global South Dialogue 2025 from the 9th till the 12th of November at the Emperor's Palace, Johannesburg. From policy innovation, this is where action meets collaboration for a water-secure future. Register today at ausisa-watersan-dialogue.org or follow at AUSISA on social media. AUSISA, working together for sustainable water and sanitation security in Africa. The KwaZulu-Natal Convention Bureau, in collaboration with Mpumi Advisory and the city of Moshatama, bring you the 2025 Tourism Investment Forum Africa. As a global platform for local action, the Tourism Investment Africa aims to promote the secondary and tertiary cities and regions as attractive investment and tourism hubs. Be part of the movement transforming tourism in Africa. Join us for the TIFA 2025 from August 27 to 29 at Tembela Venue, Richards Bay, KZN, South Africa.
9 to 12 midday, Central African Time.
On the Move with Palesa and Benjamin Moshatama.
We hang out with Mpumi Mayisa, who is a Johannesburg-based cultural worker, curator, and art writer, who has curated a beautiful event called Gliding Through the Gallery, which is a series of events curated to be slow-paced art walks that invite participants to engage deeply with contemporary art. And we continue speaking about this incredible experience. Mpumi, thank you so much for staying with us on the line. Well, let's speak a little bit about, the people themselves who come to try this experience out. You've been great at, making sure that people know about these events on TikTok, which has been a great way for people to be curious or who have always been curious about art to try and connect. What sort of people have you seen coming to Gliding Through the Gallery?
So it's been very interesting. Like, for the last one, for example, I had a mom who was in her 40s that literally dragged her daughter, who was, I think, 21, to the Glide. I also had another mom that bought tickets for her 16-year-old to come with his friend because they're trying to figure out who they want to be in the world. You have people, that are in their early 30s who have the appetite to create, what is this word running away from me? To buy art. Collect. Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
People who are interested in collecting art. There's people in their late 20s. So there's every kind of person. There are other artists that have stopped creating works and want to feel connected with their art. So there's literally every kind of person that comes through, but the through line with all of the people that come is that all of them are very, very art curious.
Art plays a huge role in our lives, not just in our homes, but as a commentary, but most importantly as something that speaks of alternative realities that we can engage in, and it creates that open-mindedness in you as a person. And earlier on you said something like a question of buying art, and people think buying art is actually an expensive exercise. Yes, it can be very expensive, don't doubt that at all. But what people don't understand, that there's everything that is in the art space for everyone. It just depends how you go on about it. Like, I know I can't really afford an original, so I am a big fan of prints. I think prints are fantastic because they democratize the whole art space, and I love that you do this because it allows people to see that, I have a space of actually even purchasing power in the art space.
Yeah, so I definitely do think that, part of Gliding Through the Gallery is that I am breaking perceptions of the art world. And sometimes we can break perceptions through our words, but I'm truly breaking these perceptions through my actions. So I'm literally saying to people, come with me, so that you can see, because sometimes when you tell people, it's very difficult to understand. So even with that, with like collecting, I'm making people very aware of the fact that you don't have to wait to be a collector, and then you also have young artists. So for example, if you see that a young artist has certain potential, you don't have to wait like until 5 years. If you think about Nelson Nakamo, there's so many people that actually collected Nelson Nakamo when he was still in his studio, and those works appreciated over time. And so this is why for this Gliding Through the Gallery, we're actually going to be doing a studio visit so that people can be able to see the behind the scenes of the works being produced and what that process looks like. but also to be able to learn about young artists that they can, because, for example, some young artists are selling works for 2,000 Rand. You buy Tepo jeans for 2,000 Rand. And so, you can repurpose that money and actually use it to buy art that's going to appreciate over time.
I love
and
that.
So, yes, it's really important for me to be breaking those perceptions. And I love what you said about buying prints as well, because there's a lot of artists that want to make their works accessible, not only to the high earners, but, to people that have a true vested interest. So I'm also pointing to that. And very soon with the gallery, I'm going to be curating a show where I'm going to be commissioning some artists to make prints so that people can come to the Glide,
nice.
and then they can be able to purchase prints and see just how easy it is, not only to enter the gallery space, but to be an active participant and to be able, to collect, and not only be a spectator, but also be a person that can be a holder and a preserver of this art.
That's beautiful. Very inclusive experience indeed. You do have one coming up tomorrow. Tell us about that one.
So I'm very excited about this Glide because it's also a part of FNB Art Fair Open City, which is happening next weekend. So like I said, some people will go to an art fair and feel very confused, and I want to set them up for success. But apart from that, we're going to be doing a studio visit, like I'm saying, that we're going to be taking people to the behind the scenes, the kitchen of the art world, so that they can see the process of the works being made. And then we're also going to be going to the Johannesburg Art Gallery.
And, looking forward to see how the experience feels for those who are able to attend tomorrow and your Glide tomorrow. So thank you so much for chatting to us today about this really beautiful art space that allows everyone to be included.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
That's Mpumi Mayisa, curator, writer, and founder of Gliding Through the Gallery, telling us a little bit about this incredible experience.
Sounds truly, truly fun.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. Thank you for joining us there.